With that, let's get to the latest NFL headlines. We'll start things off with Matt Ryan getting paid big time, ladies and gentlemen. How about this? The contract, 5 years, $150 million with $100 million guaranteed. The contract runs through 2023 and will make Ryan the first player to average at least $30 million per year. Matt Ryan is 32 years old, holds the franchise record in nearly every major passing category, throwing for over 41,000 yards, 260 touchdowns total, and 126 interceptions. No quarterback in history has passed for more yards over his first 10 seasons. So with that, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is up next now. Every quarterback, once we hear of this new contract news, continually upping one another. It was Derrick Carr and Stafford and Flacco and all these guys in no particular order, but it's just fat contract after fat contract after fat contract. Kirk Cousins obviously broke headlines this offseason with $84 million guaranteed. Now $100 million guaranteed for Matt Ryan, who, look, is a very solid quarterback. Whether or not he can win a Super Bowl remains to be seen. I do want to hear from you guys. Is Matt Ryan overpaid now? I mean, we're talking about a big-time contract with triple digits in guaranteed money. Yes, you could make the argument that Kirk Cousins is overpaid. Now, is Matt Ryan overpaid with the recent news in terms of his contract? I'll tell you one thing. Quarterbacks are so important in the NFL, and we all know this. And these contracts are really reflecting that. I mean, when teams out there are trotting out Tom Savage and Scott Tolzien and C.J. Beathard, although he's a younger player, obviously the cream of the crop of quarterbacks are going to get paid a lot. It's just basic supply and demand. The Atlanta Falcons want that security under center with Matt Ryan. They feel that they can win a Super Bowl with him. Meanwhile, for other teams out there that don't have that luxury, they're still searching for the answer. With the Jets, for instance, they're still searching. For the Indianapolis Colts, they could be searching if Andrew Luck doesn't pan out. Several teams out there in need of a top-line quarterback, and in this day and age in the NFL where it seems like talent is almost watered down a little bit at this position, you're seeing it reflected in all these big-time contracts. So Matt Ryan, 5 years, $150 million. All right, so that's the situation with him. Let's go to the next headline here. Jason Witten has retired, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be joining Monday Night Football as an analyst. Witten ends his career with 1,152 catches, 12,448 yards, and 68 touchdowns. And Witten is going to walk away ranking 4th all-time in receptions behind Jerry Rice, Tony Gonzalez, and Larry Fitzgerald. 11-time Pro Bowler, holding the record for most receptions by a tight end in a single season. 2012, he had 110. So Witten, of course, joined the Cowboys as a 3rd-round pick in 2003 out of Tennessee. And take a look at the tight ends here drafted in 2003. All right, we have a little list for you guys. Dallas Clark is there. That makes sense. But the rest of the names, wow. These guys were taken before Jason Witten in 2003. It's pretty crazy. There's Johnson there, 2nd-round pick for the Oakland Raiders, 26 career receptions for him. Dallas Clark is probably the only name that really ended up having success in the NFL. L.J. Smith there, 2nd round for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jason Witten, of course, Tony Romo's security blanket for so many years. And you look at the stats here that we have another listicle for you guys about Jason Witten's legacy with the Dallas Cowboys. It's staggering stuff. And now the debate is Jason Witten essentially a first ballot Hall of Famer as a tight end? That is the debate among the pundits out there across the sporting world. Of course he's a Hall of Famer, but is he a first ballot? How about these stats right here? 239 games played, franchise leader. 1,152 total receptions, franchise leader. 12,448 receiving yards, franchise leader as well. And then you see the receiving touchdowns, he's 3rd and missed just 1 game in 15 seasons. And now the Cowboys have Rico Gathers and Blake Jarwin and Jeff Swain on their depth chart at the tight end position. Sounds like Dallas Cowboys Nation is a big-time proponent of Rico Gathers. We'll see how he pans out. But obviously, Jason Witten, one of the great all-around locker room guys, and Wheaton is going to fall along with Tony Romo's footsteps there in terms of going into the broadcast booth. Hit me up with the reaction poll about Jason Witten. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Now, the argument could be made, did Jason Witten not really revolutionize the tight end position? I would say that is correct. He didn't necessarily revolutionize it, but he executed it really, really, really well. So maybe Jason Witten will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Maybe not, but he's certainly going to Canton. There's no doubt about that. Give me a heart for yes, a like for no, if you think Jason Witten is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So there you go. Fantastic career for him, and it looks like Antonio Gates' career could be coming to a close very soon as well. Gates looks to play one more season in the NFL. After that, I think it could be over for him. So there you go. Jason Witten heading to the broadcast booth on Monday Night Football. Should be exciting to see how he performs there. All right, so just a thank you to Jason Witten from Cam Rodgers to you. Fantastic football for so many years. All right, let's check in with the next headline here. Mike Maccagnan, general manager of the New York Jets, spent 2 years scouting Sam Darnold. Now, apparently Darnold was on Maccaggan's radar for quite some time. Now, it's interesting considering I thought Baker Mayfield was a shoo-in selection for the Jets at number 3. That obviously did not happen. I thought Big Apple Baker was going to be a thing. Obviously not the case. Sam Darnold is now in town, and Maccagnan said earlier this week that Darnold will have, quote, every opportunity to be the starting quarterback in Week 1 of 2018. Of course, the Jets had quite a surplus of quarterbacks on the roster, especially with Teddy Bridgewater coming to town, and there were still Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg. Well, we got news yesterday that the Jets released Bryce Petty, so he's gone. So now it's Darnold, it's Teddy Bridgewater, it's Josh McCown, and of course, Christian Hackenberg. Darnold is raw, but I think he's got a lot of talent, a lot of upside. He needs to improve on his turnovers a little bit. I do have a feeling this Jets offensive line won't do him many favors in terms of his success in the NFL in the short term if he does have some sort of starting role here. We'll see. This offseason will be fun to watch. OTAs, training camp, all that. The quarterback battle for the New York Jets. You got the veteran, the classic stopgap option in Josh McCown. We'll show you guys a reaction poll in terms of who you guys think will be the Week 1 starter for the Jets. You got Teddy Bridgewater, who was a great story last year coming into some regular season action for the Minnesota Vikings against the Cincinnati Bengals, albeit it was a short appearance, but he was there. So what do you guys think? Will it be McCown, Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Christian Hackenberg? Give me a like for McCown, laughing face for Teddy, heart for Sam Darnold, and a wow face for Christian Hackenberg. I probably should have put the laughing face next to Hackenberg because there's no way he's going to be the starter in Week 1. But how about that? I mean, the Jets had their eye on Sam Darnold for 2+ years. At least the general manager's eye was on him. Now, a lot of quarterbacks out there were selected within the first few picks. Of course, Allen was selected by the Buffalo Bills, and Darnold going to the Jets, as I just talked about, and Mayfield going to the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be fun to watch all these rookie quarterbacks and how they're going to pan out. The Cardinals trading up to get Josh Rosen there at number 10 overall. So a lot of pressure on these quarterbacks to perhaps perform because of their selections so highly. Lamar Jackson to the Baltimore Ravens in that latter part of the first round there. So a lot of quarterbacks selected in that first round, as we expected. And it's going to be fun to watch to see how they all perform going forward. All right, I mentioned the big-time contract for Matt Ryan. Aaron Rodgers could be next here. So Brian Gutekunst said both sides are working towards the contract extension, and we're confident we'll come to an agreement soon. So that's the new general manager there for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, Rodgers is currently the 17th highest cap hit in the NFL for 2018. That's interesting considering Rodgers is a 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time NFL MVP, and a Super Bowl champion during his 13-year career. It just goes to show how crazy some of these contracts really are, where Kirk Cousins is earning $84 million guaranteed, and he doesn't have one Super Bowl to his credit, nor an NFL MVP. Meanwhile, for Aaron Rodgers, he's got the 17th highest cap hit, and he's done all of the stuff that I just talked about. So obviously, he's going to get paid big time. He's going to one-up Matt Ryan, I think, but we'll see. I mean, the timing here with this Matt Ryan contract is falling right in line with Aaron Rodgers there. So Rodgers currently has 2 years remaining on his current deal. As you see, he'll make roughly $21 million a year in the next 2 years. The Packers last year, quite clear they need this guy at quarterback. They went 3-6 without Rodgers, and he'll have to compete with that precedent set by Kirk Cousins with $84 million, and now with Matt Ryan in $100 million guaranteed. So contract negotiations ongoing between the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. How about Dez Bryant? What's the latest with him? Really not a lot, guys. So the market's essentially weak at this juncture, and we have heard before that Dez Bryant will get some sort of market after the draft, and here we are waiting, and still not a lot. So Adam Schefter of ESPN said, quote, far more teams don't want to pay Bryant even the league minimum than actually do want to pay him. So with Dez Bryant here, he was offered a $21 million contract from my Baltimore Ravens, and he turned it down. And Dez Bryant, honestly, I'm hurt. And I wish you were a Baltimore Raven. You probably would have made more money than what you're going to make going forward, because it looks like teams don't even want to pay the league minimum here. So Dez, he's just 29 years old. All right, I still think he has quality years left in him. He can make a roster better, in my opinion. I think he's a fine teammate. I don't really believe this whole rumor that Dez Bryant isn't a good locker room guy or anything like that. I think he's a fine teammate. And the production, or should I say the lack thereof, in the last few years for Dez Bryant certainly is on his part. If you watch the tape, he can't create separation, and that is a major problem. But it's also on the Dallas Cowboys as a team. Football is the ultimate team sport. It is hard to blame lack of production on one single player. You just can't. I think it's too far-fetched to do that. I also don't like the quarterback-to-quarterback comparisons either. Remember when Manning versus Brady was always a debate and all that stuff? It never really made sense to me, because there are so many cogs to the machine in an NFL team. Right? You got the offensive line. How does that hold up in pass protection? The run blocking. Does the run game help complement the pass game? How is the quarterback and his accuracy? Dak Prescott getting a lot of blame for the lack of production from Dez Bryant. So there are many pieces to this puzzle. Now, with that said, Dez Bryant certainly deserves a brunt of the blame here in terms of his lack of play. He tallied more than 1,200 yards in 3 straight years from 2012 to 2014. What happened after that could be Father Time, could be the quarterback change with Dak Prescott incoming under center. But I think there's still a future for Dez Bryant in the NFL. Now, with that, if you guys are an NFL GM out there, are you looking into signing Dez Bryant? Hit me up in the comments section here on Facebook Live. And there's no doubt Dez is going to have to change his game a little bit. Why not go to the slot? Pull a little Larry Fitzgerald here, play in the slot more so on the outside, because if you watch the tape, and hopefully Dez Bryant realizes that, you can't create separation, especially with the influx of cornerbacks, young, good, solid cornerbacks that we have in the NFL now, with Patrick Robinson, Jalen Ramsey, and A.J. Boye, and Mackenzie Alexander with the Minnesota Vikings. So many good cornerbacks that are really becoming into the fray here. And Dez Bryant is going to have to make a move to the corner, or to the slot position, perhaps to have more success. So the market right now for Dez, not all that great. Now, things are going to change as we go forward here, and we see Bobby in the comments section. Dez should come to the Niners. All right, the Niners are on my list in terms of the top 5 teams that could land Dez Bryant. Whether or not that actually happens remains to be seen, and Bobby, I don't know if it will. Yes, the salary cap space is there, so from a financial standpoint, it could make some sense. But I don't know if John Lynch wants to throw a wrench into all this, if you will, into this progress here for the 49ers by way of signing Dez Bryant. I don't think he fits anywhere in this offense because they have a good core of wide receivers with Trent Taylor, Marquise Goodwin, Pierre Garçon coming back from injury, Dante Pettis via the draft out of Washington. He's a good player. Probably will do more special teams than anything else. But for Dez, I just don't think there's a clear role for him. I'm keeping an eye on the Houston Texans of the world, and there's your comment there on the broadcast, Bobby. Thanks for watching the show. So I got the Texans in my mind. Indianapolis Colts make some sense. The New England Patriots as well. The Seattle Seahawks make some sense too. But you know what? Before they make any moves for a wide receiver, they should make some moves for improving that offensive line. That is not very good right now, and they had a very bad draft and really didn't address the O-line. And Russell Wilson could be running for his life in 2018. So right now, the market for Dez Bryant, guys, the best I can put it, weak. It's weak. Not much going on. But I'll keep tracking it for you guys and let you know what the latest is. But the big-time storyline right now, Adam Schefter saying far more teams don't want to pay Bryant even the league minimum salary than actually do. All right, so that's the deal with Dez Bryant. Let's get to the next headline here. Bruce Arians joining the broadcast booth as well. So Arians will be joining CBS and Greg Gumbel and Trent Green in the 2018 NFL season. He'll be calling games with them as a color analyst. Jamie Erdahl will be on the sideline for those broadcasts. Gumbel, I like him a lot. And Trent Green, those are some good broadcasters there. And I'm very excited to see how Bruce Arians will perform as a broadcaster. He's an intelligent guy. He's very articulate with his words. He's very smart in terms of especially the offensive side. I'm just glad he is not totally leaving the game of football. So CBS made that announcement today, or excuse me, yesterday. So there you go. Bruce Arians joining the CBS broadcast booth, and along the same lines as Jason Witten joining the ESPN broadcast booth there for Monday Night Football. So some broadcast news there. Good stuff, though, with Bruce Arians remaining in the NFL, or at least remaining in some capacity there with the National Football League. All right, let's go to the next headline here. Eric Reid filing a collusion case against the NFL, a grievance case, if you will, essentially saying that all 32 NFL owners are colluding against him to keep him out of the National Football League. All right, so this is probably familiar to you because Colin Kaepernick has the same case going against the NFL. So the difference between Cap and Reid, in my opinion here, is that the safety position in the NFL is rather slow, right? The market in terms of free agency is sluggish. Trey Boston is still without a job, and he was one of the better safeties a year ago. So Eric Reid now is alleging that the NFL owners have come together and said that we don't want Eric Reid to be playing in the NFL because he was one of the first kneelers alongside Colin Kaepernick during the national anthem. Collusion is very difficult to prove, ladies and gentlemen. And essentially what you are saying is, by way of Eric Reid and Colin Kaepernick, all 32 owners got into some sort of conference room and essentially said that let's find out a way to not put Eric Reid into the NFL. So that's what Kaepernick's alleging. That's what Eric Reid is alleging. Very difficult to prove because you need like tapes, recordings, something of that nature there to kind of prove that that is the case. The big question here is, and I think this is probably the more logical question, will this grievance case put added pressure on NFL owners, right? NFL owners do not want to go through all the legal fees and all this stuff and go through the arbitration process, et cetera, why not just employ these guys, right? Maybe that's what the logic is with Eric Reid and Colin Kaepernick. All right, we're going to do these grievance cases, and hopefully that puts pressure on the NFL owners to go ahead and sign us so we can play football again. That's what I think the motivation is here with Eric Reid and Colin Kaepernick, because like I said, it is so difficult to prove. I don't even think they have any crazy evidence to say that the NFL is colluding against them. So perhaps the motivation is to get them back into the NFL by way of putting pressure on these owners and on the NFL and basically saying that, hey, we'll fight this tooth and nail, but you're going to have to continue to pay legal fees and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens here. Let me know in the comments section the following, as you see on your screen here. I want you to pretend you're an NFL coach. Would you be okay if one of your players were to kneel during the national anthem? Would that be okay with you as an NFL coach? This debate is going to continue to go on, especially if we see more grievances, more allegations of collusion against the National Football League. It's going to continue. So I want to hear from you guys here on the Cam Rodgers Show. As always, I appreciate your thoughts. Eric Reid is a distraction. That's what Bobby said in the comments section here. And Bobby's a 49ers guy, I assume, so he knows Eric Reid, former first-round pick there. Miller Rutherford says, no, they should stand. Again, very polarizing topic here. There are people on both sides of the aisle. There are people in the middle. Here's how I look at it. There are people on one side that say, absolutely, they should stand during the national anthem. There's people on the other side that say, no, they should be able to do whatever they want. You know, freedom to do whatever. Then there's the people in the middle. And that logic is they are employed by the NFL. And as such, they should do what their boss says. So I think that argument, I think both sides can kind of fall in line with. That middle aisle argument. Where that, let's say you are employed, right? And your boss says that you can't kneel during the national anthem. What are you going to do? Kneel anyway and get fired and be without a job? It's one of those things. Now, obviously, the NFL is totally different than, you know, an accounting job or whatever the case may be. And, you know, when you're playing in the NFL, you have a special platform. When you are, you know, working for a company, perhaps you don't have national TV kind of platform where you can deliver a message. So again, it's not as black and white as I'm saying how it might be right now. It is a very ongoing situation, very fluid. And so be sure to hit me up in the comments section. I do appreciate when you guys chime in. I saw Steve's comment on the broadcast here. I see Richard chiming in, Dustin as well. Dustin saying they should be booted immediately. Richard saying keep them off the field. I got Steve chiming in. Owners need to take a stand. And if you do not stand, you're off my team. So, Steve, if you're a head coach, you're booting them. All right, that's interesting. So keep hitting me up in the comments section, guys. I do love hearing from what you guys have to say about this topic. And we'll continue to cover it here as Eric Reid goes on with this grievance case against the National Football League, as well as Colin Kaepernick. And we'll see if they find an NFL team. But one more thing here, like I said earlier, safety market, a lot quieter than the quarterback market. There's no doubt about that. So the Cincinnati Bengals did look into Eric Reid earlier in the offseason and reportedly asked him about kneeling and all that stuff, and I guess it really didn't end all that great. So there you go. Ongoing collusion case against the NFL. With that, the President Trump, has been quite vocal about kneeling during the national anthem, and how about this bit of news? He has appointed Bill Belichick to his Council on Sports. This story broke earlier today. So Trump signed an executive order in February to rebrand the council so that it's more focused on encouraging kids to play in sports. So that's kind of the motivation behind this, and Bill Belichick reportedly being appointed, and Trump is also looking into Mariano Rivera, Herschel Walker, Misty Ray Traynor there, volleyball gold medalist. So a lot of big-time names that Trump is looking into here, Bill Belichick included. So Bill, fantastic coach in the NFL. Now he's going to be involved a little bit, I guess, with the president's administration here and his mission to encourage kids to take up sports as well. And there was also a report that Trump will be inviting Colin Kaepernick to a summit on race. So it looks like Trump is listening to what I said earlier this season on the Cam Rodgers show. If you guys recall, when Trump was taking to Twitter, telling players that they should stand during the national anthem and all this stuff. Remember what I said? If you're a loyal Cam Rodgers show watcher here, I said that Trump should get both sides of the aisle into a conference room and they should discuss this situation. And it seems like Trump is taking those steps, inviting Colin Kaepernick to a summit on race. So hopefully that dialogue can continue to go on there. All right, so Trump appoints Bill Belichick to his council on sports. That's one headline. We'll get to more, but first, a thank you to Game Time for sponsoring the Cam Rodgers Show here today. Head on to chatsports.com/tickets to get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets, concert tickets, and theater tickets. Fantastic app, 5 stars for Android and iOS. Get it done today, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get to the next headline here. Derrick Johnson visiting the Raiders. Linebacker formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs, in fact, for the last decade plus, could potentially go to the bitter rival Oakland Raiders. So that's interesting. Johnson had 71 tackles and 15 starts in 2017. Obviously has slowed down a bit since the prime of his career. He's no longer the same player. I wonder if this is a ploy by the Oakland Raiders to get Navarro Bowman to take less money so they can sign him. Oakland does have Tahir Whitehead, who's a solid player, former linebacker from Detroit. But the Raiders are thin at LB, and they could certainly utilize Navarro Bowman or Derrick Johnson, a good veteran player, can teach some of the younger players on this team on that defensive side. But I do actually think it is a ploy by the Raiders to try to bring back Navarro Bowman at less money. It's actually interesting that he's still unemployed. Bowman had a pretty good year last season. He's a quality linebacker. He's still playing at a solid level. So the fact that he is still without a job is somewhat shocking. Maybe he's just demanding too much money right now. Who knows? All right, so there you go. Derrick Johnson visiting the Oakland Raiders. The Eagles have signed a new wide receiver, Markus Wheaton. It's a 1-year deal. And Wheaton signed a 2-year, $11 million contract with Chicago in his first taste of free agency last March. And there you go. Now he's headed to the Philadelphia Eagles here. And Alshon Jeffrey's there, Nelson Aguilar, Mike Wallace. The Eagles recently signed him as well. So Wheaton is probably going to be battling it out for the wide receiver number 4 slot here. And you got Matt Collins as well on this roster. He's a wild card kind of deep threat for Philadelphia. So it's an uphill climb for Wheaton, to be honest with you. Heck, he might be competing for wide receiver number 5. We're still waiting for Markus Wheaton to really emerge here. And the Eagles have quality wide receivers on their depth chart at this juncture. So how about these names that Wheaton is going to probably compete with? Shelton Gibson, Bryce Treggs, Marquess Wilson, for that final slot on the depth chart there. So Wheaton struggled with injuries last year, had a groin and broken finger as well. So really wasn't the greatest campaign for Wheaton with the Chicago Bears, and Chicago's passing attack really wasn't all that great in 2017. And the injuries by Wheaton was kind of part of that reason. So we'll see what he can do with the Philadelphia Eagles here. It's a 1-year deal for him, and he'll be battling it out with some players on the lower part of that wide receiver depth chart there for Philadelphia.